next player we're going to talk about today is none other than former rugby player, professional rugby player from Wales, now on the Kansas City Chiefs. He goes by the name of Rees-Zammit. He's 6'3", 194 pounds, and I want to get into his story a little bit here today. Now, you guys know me for doing the live player interviews. This is not that. I don't have him coming on the show today, but I'm gonna have tons of his film. And honestly, most of his highlights, as you see on the side of the screen here, they're rugby highlights. But if there's any sport that is closest to football, it's not basketball, it's not soccer, it's not anything else, it's rugby. It is rugby. Rugby is the closest thing. You have guys like Jordan Mailata from the Philadelphia Eagles, who's originally from the country of New Zealand, who has been one of the best at his position in the league, right? You've had OCU Manyora. So people have came through these programs, have performed very, very well. But what I want to take and talk about today is what makes this different. Tons of players who have taken and went through the International Player Pathway Program that the NFL is sponsored. Their hands are in it. It's a great program. And there's multiple people who have, they're on practice squads for the last 2 or 3 years, or they're just now starting to see the field after a year of being in the league. You know, a lot of people are new to the sport, but there's so much more talent outside of the United States. I almost look at it like when MLB, you know, they started finding out about the Dominican Republic and how they have some of the best baseball players in the world. You know, there's a lot of players who are from Nigeria. There's a lot of players who are coming in this program who are German. And man, their genetic build, and they're just really, really big, you know. And then of course you already know about the Pacific Islanders, you know, Polynesians and so forth, right? So different ethnic groups, and then of course you got guys who, like this guy. Now I lived in Wales, by the way. If y'all don't know, Dad was in the military. Lived all around the world. I lived in Wales for 2 years. I lived in a place called Haverfordwest, approximately about 2 hours Penarth, Wales. And people are Welsh are typically not the biggest people in the world, typically speaking. But that being said, this guy is such a special, special player. He was actually on a Netflix documentary. Fun thing enough, I didn't realize I have it on my queue. I've not watched the show yet, called Six Nations Full Contact. And he was on one full season of that. Also, he played for 4 different professional rugby teams. According to here, it looks like he had a 5-year professional rugby career. He played for the Wales U8 team. He also played for the Wales team for 3 years. And then he also played for the British and Irish Lions as well, too. So this guy was really, really good. And as you see on the highlights on the screen right next to me, he was fast. He was very, very, very fast. Now, my whole question was, why American football? What makes you want to put on pads? Because, you know, rugby, you really don't have pads like that, you know. You wear a thick polo and you go out there and you bang heads, quite literally. There's no helmet there to protect you. What made him want to do this? And he said he actually never been to an NFL game except for overseas. It was the overseas games. So anytime we would go to London, he was there, and that's when he actually fell in love with the game. And I take it that his love is indeed sincere, because how do you go from being one of the best rugby players in that league, in those leagues, all the way to wanting to come to America and try out American football? That doesn't just happen overnight. I've heard about people sucking at the sport wherever they're at in their country, and they want to come to America and give it a shot out here. And it just does not always work out. Now, a lot of people are very, you know, wary of this program, the International Player Pathway Program that the NFL has. And there's people from all around the world. I want to name a few names. Obviously, you know about OCU Manyora, won a Super Bowl championship with the Giants some years ago. But there's a guy right now named Marcel Dabo. He's German, plays for the Titans. We got CJ Okoye. He's Nigerian, plays for the Chargers. Bernhard Sikovitz, hope I didn't butcher his name, from Australia, plays for the Cardinals, right? And then, of course, there's a bunch of other people who, you know, they just did not work out. You know, I remember Semis Reyes. He went to I think they were called the Washington football team at the time, Commanders. And 2022, I mean, this guy's 6'6". You know, he's about 260 pounds. Arm length is crazy. He's from Chile, the country. Now, if you've been around Chilean people, typically the average male is probably somewhere in the ballpark of around like 5'4". You know, shorter men. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But, you know, when it comes to football, hey, you got to be a certain height for a certain position, especially the tight end position, right? You got to at least be 6'2" or 6'1" in today's game. But man, this dude was a beast, and he was a basketball player. I believe he played at University of Miami. He just did not pan out. But this guy I'm very excited about, and let me tell you why. I think we're still waiting for our big international superstar. We're waiting for that guy who has a British accent. But I think we're waiting for that big superstar, someone at that Tom Brady level of skill. Now, what's interesting about the Chiefs, he couldn't have landed a better spot because this team, their receiver corps has not been the same since Tyreek Hill. Now, don't get me wrong. They have won several Super Bowls without Mr. Tyreek Hill, 2 to be exact. But could he be the guy who elevates this offense? Could he be the guy that Andy Reid starts to slowly feed him into this offense? I don't know. It's really interesting. You know, what I will take and say, I love how the Kansas City Chiefs drafted. And when you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Patrick Mahomes, I don't see this not working out. The only way this does not work out is if he gets injured and he just does not pick up on the game. But for crying out loud, they gave him an undrafted free agent contract. There's guaranteed money in there. He's going to walk away with something. I think worst case scenario, and these are my predictions, worst case scenario, make the practice squad maybe for 1 or 2 years in a row and really truly develop with coaches that are even better than the IMG Academy, where he can actually take and develop those skills, learn about the speed of the game, because you can practice all you want, you can get coached up all you want, but unless you're out there, we all know that practice and hands-on is the best way to learn. And I would like to see, man, if they put him in a few screen passes, what he ultimately does with that, man. A few dump passes and watch him take off up the field. What I will say, I've watched a few highlights of just him practicing, and I think we're seeing a lot of ugly stuff because his cuts look kind of slow, if I'm being honest with you. Now, he did clock in at 24 miles per hour, and that's what put him on the radar for a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody looks at Miami. Oh, Miami, they're the speedy team. But Kansas City Chiefs, they also have that mindset as well, too, right? But I mean, who knows? This could be a guy who could come in at, week 14 towards the end of the year and start slowly getting fed in when, the Kansas City Chiefs are on their way to clinching the division, right? So very, very, very interesting. But if this works out, he could be opening up the door for other of his teammates. If this works out, we could be getting people from Ireland, Scandinavian countries. Like I said, there's several people in the league right now who came from the international player pathway. Several, and they don't always work out. But I think the NFL's landscape 10 to 15 years from now is going to look very different from what it is now. I think obviously the American white guy, American black guy, that's always going to be the thing. That's always going to be in rotation, right? But there's talent overseas. There's people who are in Ghana and Nigeria who are massively built, and if they could get coached up for 2 to 3 years, 4 years, what have you, 1 year, whatever it may be, dude, this will open things up so dang much. He could literally be the Jackie Robinson of the sport internationally. Anywho, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear what you guys got to take and say. Very exciting prospect. Kansas City Chiefs. Wow, what a signing. This is great for you guys. Be sure to go ahead, comment below. Hit that subscribe button as well, too. Let me know your thoughts. And we'll catch y'all next time on the Touchdown with Doug Smith. Thank you for watching another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith, where we have exclusive NFL content and exclusive NFL interviews. Be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. Follow us on social media. See you on the next one.